He says, "Pardon my French." I thought, we're in trouble here. I happen to know you don't speak French. You barely speak English. He says, "Pardon my French, but we all know Paul is an effing cunt." As if that's the bit of the sentence that needed cleaning up there. I tell you what I think we're shit at as a nation. I think we're terrible at languages. Would you agree with that? I think the British are terrible at languages, and I think that's why at one stage we had an empire. I think our arrogance got us an empire, because we got sailing ships and we went off around the world trying to buy stuff to bring back to show off. That's what you do on your holidays. We arrived on the shores of a foreign land. We got out the boat and we said, "I'd like to buy some spices, please." I'm getting nothing here, Jeremy. Say it a bit louder. Right you are. "I'd like to buy some spices, please." Still nothing. "Well, I'll fetch the muskets, we'll build a railway, in 200 years they get a call centre." Very much an abridged version of empire, but that's what happened. I've got another story about how bad we are at languages. I was doing a bit of material last year about the rioting all over Paris. French people rioting, it's funny. "Oh, quick, Pierre, they have a water cannon. If we're not careful, we'll be washed." And I wanted to check I hadn't offended anyone, so I said, "Are there any French people in?" Someone shouted, "Si, senor." I thought, that's a new kind of stupid. Because it's Spanish. My favourite story of the last year concerned an Oxford student. He was walking home late one night and he sexually harassed a police horse. Not like that. That'd be my favourite story ever. But he was walking home late one night and he called the police horse gay. That was his crime. Now, if ever there was a victimless crime, that's it, calling a police horse gay. For a start, there's nothing the matter with being gay. Secondly, it's a horse. It can't understand. Thirdly, even if by some miracle it could understand, I think the horse would be okay with being called gay, because I think a horse would be fairly sexually self-confident. I mean, for a start, it's hung like itself. But the policeman didn't let it go. No, he got off the horse, he arrested the young man, took him to the cells overnight. In the end, he was fined £70 through the courts for calling a police horse gay. I wish I'd been his lawyer. I would have got him off. Because in his defence, the horse was standing naked on all fours in the middle of the street. With a uniform man on his back. That is quite gay. You're gay, right? Come on, you're so far in the closet, you're having adventures in Narnia. Don't get the wrong idea, I thoroughly approve. It's a lifestyle choice. The wrong choice. No, but if God didn't approve of homosexuality, you would have sent some sort of plague to wipe them out. Oh, easy. If anyone's offended, can I refer you to my earlier comments where I said I don't believe in God, and then respectfully request you fuck off. It's only a joke. Jokes are fine. Proper homophobia isn't fine. I don't like it when the tabloids are homophobic, because they're such an important part of our culture, the tabloids. When they get it wrong, it sends a very bad message. Do you remember last year when they outed a footballer? Which is a terrible thing to do anyway. They outed this footballer, and in the course of the article where they outed this guy as a homosexual, they described consensual oral sex between two adults, yeah? Two fellas sucking each other off. They described that as a prank. How demeaning to homosexuals is that? To have that act of lovemaking described as a prank. And it also doesn't work from the other point of view, because I like to think of myself as something of a prankster. But I don't think I've ever said, "Gotcha!" Don't forget the balls. Bless you. You really do care. Whereabouts are you from, sir? You're from New York. What are you doing over here? Do you mind me asking? You do something? You moved here for work? What sort of work do you do? I mean, I'm not suggesting I need to see your papers, but what are you bringing to the party? Finance and IT, I can't really think what that is. Is that cash points? Hang on, you're looking at ATMs. It's our language, you fucking ruined it. Yeah, next time you have a fight with someone, stop getting us involved. You're getting blamed for everything. Go on, you can...
It worked for us if you're speaking German.
Sorry, if it wasn't for you, we'd be speaking German. How little do you know about our language abilities? There's no way we'd have picked it up in 60 years. One area of life where comedy lets me down all the time is greeting cards. I love sending cards to people, but I can never think of anything funny to write in them. So I thought, well, I'm a professional comedian. I'll sit down and give it some time and some effort, come up with some things you could put in cards. So, you know, it might help out next time you're in that spot. Life is pain, misery and suffering, an inevitable march towards death. Happy 5th birthday, Kate. By the time you read the end of this sentence, you'll have forgotten the first half. But what the hell? Have a great 87th, Grandma. Office cards are difficult, leaving cards especially. You know when you have to all sign it, everyone in the office? What do you write, especially if you don't know the person? Obviously it doesn't matter because you're never going to see the fucker again, so here's what I'd recommend. We never really had a chance to get to know one another, but I've always noticed you in the office and I just have a feeling we'd get on together. How about a drink sometime, maybe dinner, who knows where it might lead. Good luck with the baby. Obviously, the worst kind of card you can come across in everyday life is the whip round card. It's a fucking nightmare. The big envelope comes round, bit of change in the bottom. Who starts it? No one likes. I've got a theory. It's the person who the whip round is for. It's a whip round for Jimmy. Thought you were Jimmy. No. Here's what I think you should write in the next whip round card. You don't know me, but I got bullied into putting £5 in your collection because I didn't have any change and people were watching. So fuck you. For what it's worth, this is my favourite thing that I've ever written in a card. No one wants to die alone, tied up in a shed, having been tortured for days. So be my Valentine. Anonymity is key to the success of that. Valentine's is easy. All you need to do is get a card with a couple of hearts on it and go for the traditional message. I tend to go for the, you know, the really old-fashioned sentiment. I love you. There, I said it now. Will you please let me do you up the bum? That started a conversation. Great. Valentine's is weird, isn't it? Because it's the one day of the year where you get anonymous mail from a stranger saying, I'd like to fuck you. And you go, aww. Any other day, that's stalking. And I found that out the hard way. Get well soon. Get well soon cards are difficult because it says it all on the front, doesn't it? Get well soon. That's all you want to say. So, you know, what do you write inside? Here's what I'd suggest. Or your wife will start looking elsewhere. Motivation. What about when get well soon is not appropriate? Yeah? I've got a friend who's quite seriously ill. Getting well soon would be miraculous. Getting well at all, we're told, is a long shot. But there was nothing for me in the card shop. I had to make my own card in the end. I went with Die with Dignity. He's a funny guy. I think he'll see the funny side. And if he doesn't, it's not as if I have to avoid him for long. World's best dad. If you want to see your kids again, leave £10,000 in the bins round the back of Dixon's. Congratulations on your results. Negative, who'd have thought? Good luck in your exam. I'm sure it's benign. I know you think that's offensive, but it's not when you compare it to this. I know nothing's happened yet. It's a card. On the front there is a girl throwing her hair back, clearly having a brilliant time. She's 16. It just says, "You're 16." And then inside I've written, "But it's still our little secret. Lots of love, Dad." Congratulations, you're 18. Stone, nearly your target weight. I'm having to do a lot of baby cards recently because a lot of my friends are having babies, and you've got to do the card for when the baby arrives, but also the one when they find out they're pregnant. So, first one, you're having a baby. Thank fuck for that. I thought you'd been getting fat. You're having a baby. And that's final. Yours, the Catholic Church. Oh, they're sticklers for that kind of thing. It's a girl. Better luck next time. Lots of love, the Chinese. Is anyone celebrating anything this evening? Is anyone a birthday, anniversary, anything going on in your lives? Are you sextuplets or something? What? Who's got a birthday up there? Hi. How old are you? 17? Great news, I'm not going to jail. So you're 17, what, today? March. No, sorry, you've misunderstood. You come and sit with her. We've all got birthdays at different times of the year. When someone says, "Do you have a birthday?" they tend to mean now. They don't just mean, were you born of woman? March, you can fuck off. What do you do? No, I meant sexually. She's 17, that's fine. It's not fine, it's deeply creepy. By the way, that woman gave me a thumbs up, though. Thanks for that. Yeah, you pop up there and groom her. I'll be up in a minute, you bloody weirdo. Has anyone else got a birthday? More legitimate. You've got a birthday. How old are you? 26 tomorrow. Okay, well, that's a problem. What's your name? Dave. All right, your card, Dave. What do you do? You're a doctor. Okay. Happy birthday, David. My wrist. What's happened? How annoyed are you at that? Everyone you've ever met. I've got a terrible rash on my cock. I'm joking, it's not terrible, you'll be fine. I'll wear a condom, there won't be a problem. I'm joking. I'm not going to wear a condom. So you're a doctor. What kind of doctor are you?
I'm a pediatrician.
Well, I can't say that I approve, but I admire your honesty. Happy birthday, David. I've written in big, don't touch them. Just a little reminder. There you go, there's a card. Happy birthday to David. Let's give him a round of applause. Happy birthday. Have you ever looked at a bill in a restaurant where it says service not included and thought, no, it wasn't, was it? I was staying in a hotel last week. I came down for breakfast. I said, I'll have a continental breakfast, as is my want. The waiter said to me, what room are you in? I said, it's the dining room. Sex is always better in hotels. Have you noticed that, ladies and gentlemen? Sex is always better in hotels. Why is that? Is it because it's with a hooker? Because you don't have to what, sorry? Because you don't have to clean the sheets. How are you fucking her? That there's a whole... Maybe later. Oh, maybe later. Oh, I see. A little bit of the bum sex going on. I always think you know you're doing something bad sexually. Bad in a good way. When you think you better put the towel down before that happens. You think you always know we're doing something a bit experimental. Yeah, we better just cover that first, because... Yeah, I've never done this before. It could end badly. I don't even know if you're going to make it through, but good luck, love. Do you think strippers get home after a hard day undressing and think, oh, more work? Da, 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 da. I realise that's the worst mime of a stripper. I'd love to go to a strip club where they just went like that. That's my vagina. Have a butcher's. Show's over. I've discovered, incidentally, the worst thing you can say when a stripper is performing. I was at my friend Toby's stag do, and we booked a stripper, but she fell through on the day because she was unwell. So the agency sent us a replacement. Anyway, there's 20 of us in the basement of a restaurant in West London watching this girl do some fairly grisly things, which I will come to later. And Lee turned to Harvey, and he whispered, and I don't know where he learned to whisper, I'm guessing in a fucking helicopter. Because we all heard... He went, yeah, I heard the fit one let us down. It echoed round the room. That's how big her vagina was. She was doing some fairly horrible things. She was doing a thing with a bottle. I was disgusted. Red wine with fish. I once went out with a girl who was so fat, it felt like I was two-timing her. I'm joking, I didn't go out with her. The big problem they talk about these days is childhood obesity. They talk about that all the time, childhood obesity. And they say these kids are greedy. They're not greedy. They've just got slow metabolism. And very fast, cheap-eating hands. There are 1 million obese children in Britain today. Do you realise if they all jumped up and down at the same time, they might lose a little bit of fucking weight? I worry that these obese children are sending a very mixed message to our paedophiles. Sure, they're easier to catch. But who wants to fiddle with a fatty? The sex offenders register. I'm not even sure they should be in school. Screaming in bed, ladies, that's all very well, screaming in bed. Fine, express yourself. But why does it always have to be the same thing? Ah, you're on my hair! Well, maybe if you got Brazilian, this wouldn't happen. Buying presents for women, that's a nightmare, isn't it? I thought, I can't do flowers again, I can't do chocolates again. I'll go for lingerie. Mum was livid. Men think about sex every 7 seconds, which I think makes talking to your dad creepy. People say the book's always better than the film. Yeah, the book's always better than the film. I don't agree with that. I can think of loads of films that are much better than the book. Cum guzzling sluts. I must have seen that film 100 times. It's much better than the book. The book's all stuck together and it smells funny. Applauding that, you should be ashamed of yourself. Size isn't important, it's what you do with it. Would you agree with that, ladies?
No!
There's a lady over there that likes a big cock and she doesn't care who knows it. So it's quite possible you just whispered that and it picked up an echo. I've just always thought that's such a retarded expression. Size is important, it's what you do with it. Well, I find you pop it in your mouth and your vagina. How's that? Is that going to be a total waste of time? I like it when ladies get tattoos. Have any ladies in here got tattoos? What have you got? A what? You've got a vent. I think that may be the crudest term I've ever heard for a vagina. I've got a vent. Well, if you're particularly gassy, I suppose. Whereabouts is this vent? On your arm, you've got a vent. You have, by all accounts, got some sort of vent. Fucking go, girl. Nothing says feminine like air conditioning equipment. Nothing says I'm hot like I need a fucking vent. That's how hot I fucking am. Has anyone got one on the small of their back?
Yeah.
What have you got? A football symbol. What, sorry? Yes, I would. Oh, look. A football symbol. What is it? It's Gaelic football. Right, no, I know what Gaelic football is. How come you've got that there? Did you do the whole team and you got a bonus? I don't know. It's always struck me, it's a lovely place to get a tattoo because it's discreet. When you ask a lot of ladies why they get a tattoo, they say, I've got one there because it's just for me and my partner. Or partners. But my question is, if he's looking at that, he's already having a good time. The last thing he needs is more visual stimulus. What you've basically got on your lower back is a target. Having said that, I really like tattoos there, so I'm trying to convince my girlfriend to get one. I want her to either get, if you can read this, you're fucking me. Or, now wash your hands. I'd like to get a tattoo. I'm thinking about getting one just there, just across there, just above the Speedos, just above the banana hammock. Saying caution, choking, hazard. Ages 16 and up. May contain nuts. One in 3 people fantasize about group sex. 3 in 1 people is group sex. I'm not in favour of all kinds of group sex. I'm not in favour of the 2 guys, 1 girl threesome. For the very simple reason, I never want to see another man's happy face. Because women, when they orgasm, look beautiful and serene, full of life. I've seen it in magazines and films. But men, when they orgasm, look as if they're drinking vinegar through their eyes. Fucking hell. Has anyone been involved in that kind of caper? Has anyone had the 2 guys, 1 girl threesome? Have you been involved in that kind of caper, sir? You're not willing to say. What was it, 3 fellas, was it? Your brother has. What, go on, what happened, sir? Go on, tell us. You started drinking and it just happened. You got hammered, did you? What, the guy missed? I'm looking at you, sir, and I'm guessing you've never been with a woman but you made up a story. My question is, I don't know what the etiquette would be, you know, because do you change ends at half-time? I think it would take more willpower than I have not to high-five the other fella. Nice work. I think if you're a gentleman, you would change ends. Because, you know, she's got enough to be thinking about. I can't even do that. Let alone, there's cocks everywhere! I saw a thing in the paper a couple of months ago. It said, if you're filling in an application form these days, trying to apply for a job or maybe applying for university, something like that, anything where you have to fill in a form, they don't care about your qualifications as much. What they want is someone with a bit of a sense of humour. I thought, well, I could help with that. I think there's some funny things you could put in forms. Might help someone out. Is anyone applying for a job or anything like that? Oh, what are you applying for? To be a teacher. Ooh. I read a thing recently that said that the best teachers, the ones that graduate very top of teacher training, go and teach at special needs schools. I couldn't help thinking, isn't that a bit of a waste? What are they going to get? A better standard of potato painting? Well, this might help if you're getting your CV together, you never know. Education qualifications, you've got to kick off with that for the CV. I went to boarding school. I was a day boy. At least I think that's what they were shouting. I got a double first at Cambridge. First person to get their balls out in choir practice. First person to be hospitalised by a chaplain. Personal statement. That's an annoying thing. You've got to do a personal statement. Now, you've already filled in a CV and an application form, and then they make you write a little essay about yourself at the end. It's rubbish. Here's my personal statement. You can borrow it if you like. I've got tiny balls. Balls like marbles. Is that personal enough? I shaved them. There, I said it. What do you expect the position you've applied for to involve? Endless meetings, a few months of keeping my head down, a fight with the boss at the Christmas party, a drunken sexual dalliance with a colleague, some sort of harassment tribunal followed by a swift departure. A little bit of realism there, a little bit of truth for you. Oh, I applied to be in the police. Any policemen in? Undercover, I see. Well, they've got a great form, the police. What's your greatest personal achievement to date, they ask. I've said I've stolen over £16,000 worth of stationery without once getting caught. What I used to do is I used to take all the post-it notes and pens and pads and ink cartridges and laptops, stuff you're going to nick anyway. To take it, instead of nicking it in my bag or my coat, what I used to do is get all that stuff, put it in a box, yeah? And then when it was full, take it to the post room and have them deliver it to my house. It was fucking brilliant. Because not only did you get the stuff you were going to steal anyway, you also got kind of a Christmas morning surprise 2 days later. A package for me. Who could have been so kind? It was me. What do you consider your greatest weakness? I demand too much of myself and others. Either that or whores. How much alcohol do you consume over a 7-day period? How do you possibly expect me to remember? I mean, last month, Asda did a 2-for-1 on Malibu. I lost a fortnight. Have you ever misused any illegal substances? Yes. I once accidentally snorted heroin thinking it was cocaine. I'm not proud of that, but it happened. Best to be honest. This is a sad state of affairs, but this is the last question on the police form. Are you a racist or have you ever been a member of the BNP? I've said no, but I'm a fast learner and I'll do anything to get this job. We all saw that documentary. Oh, I applied to work at Starbucks, the posh coffee shop, because I'm in there every day anyway. I thought I might as well. Do you enjoy working as part of a team, they ask. I've said, absolutely. I very much enjoy the workplace team dynamic. It's easier to get away with stuff. Plus, there are those long lunches and the team-building weekends where you get to make a raft and finger each other and that. When was the last time you received great customer service, and why was it so memorable? I was with a wonderful prostitute the other night. Seriously, she had a vagina like a mouse's ear. I imagine that would mean she could hear you coming. Sorry. Where did you hear about this role? You can't just say, Steve told me. You've got to dress it up a bit, so here's my version. Feel free to use it if you need it. Well, I just returned from teaching the Harvard MBA. My wife, Scarlett Johansson, and I were entertaining our good friend Professor Stephen Hawking, who had come to ask my advice on his latest theory concerning the evolution of the universe. He and I were in the library, browsing through my most recent translation of Etruscan hymns into Middle Flemish. When he said, and I'll never forget this, he said, Jimmy, there's a job going at Starbucks and I think you'd be perfect for it. Only he said it in his hilarious Dalek voice. I applied to be in the fire service. They've got a very good form. They asked, what skills do you think you possess that you could bring to the fire service? I said, I'm good at playing pool, sitting on my fat ass, collecting for comic relief, and plumbing. If anything, I'm overqualified. I realise if my house burns down, they'll bring marshmallows. That's fine. They also ask, what's your greatest personal achievement to date? I've said when I was 14, I just managed to suck the very tip of my winky. What, we've all tried? It's no one's proudest moment. Unless, of course, you succeeded, in which case, well done. Well, we have all tried, ladies. You're looking at me like you don't believe me now. Let's do a little sociological experiment. Gentlemen, if you have never tried to fellate yourself, suck yourself off. So I was saying what it meant. I wasn't saying suck yourself off. That wasn't an order. Gentlemen, if you've never tried to fellate yourself, raise your hand now. That's my favourite bit of the show. It's the couples that have clearly been together for a while that I like best. It's the woman initially going... No, he said, put your hand up, he never listens. And then the slow look of realisation. You're optimistic, you can't even touch your fucking toes. Quite a few of you down there have got your hands up, you guys. Did you all ever go on each other's, did you? I like the way, sorry, you guys, I presume you're someone's dad, and then all the kids there. Is that the, yeah, okay, so you've got dad, and then kid. And it went basically, dad put his hand up, and then son went, yeah, and then the next one went, yeah, and then the next one went, yeah, I've definitely never done that. Down the line. It was like a domino effect, but with horrible lies that make the baby Jesus cry. Even the little baby Jesus tried to suck his own cock. Come on. Can you say that? Yeah, sure you can. Why not? Prince can suck his own cock. And by that I mean Prince can suck his own cock. I've had it with him. Why did you leave your previous job? Well, that's tricky to answer. You can't just put embezzling. Said, I needed a new challenge. And after you fuck the boss's wife, where else is there to go? What will you bring to the job? I'll be bringing my sister's kids with me on Tuesday afternoons. When she's doing aqua aerobics. Give an example of when you've used initiative. I've got a couple of different examples for you in case you don't like the first one. There was a fight outside the pub when I was 17 between these two massive tattooed blokes. One of the men was knocked on the pavement unconscious. I seized the opportunity and kicked him in the face. In case you didn't like that, I've got another version for you. I got ID made up saying I'm from the gas board. It's not very convincing, but then pensioners don't have great eyesight. And if she can't see the ID is fake, then does she really need a telly? Describe yourself in 3 words. Smart, dynamic, intelligent, attentive. Do you have any special needs? They ask this on quite a lot of forms now. Do you have any special needs? I've written back, nah, you've got special needs. Note the correct spelling of nah. I've got a lot growing up to do. And last one, how long is your notice period? I usually notice stuff almost immediately. Women think men will piss in the sink if the toilet's busy. Do you think that? Yeah. Bullshit. We'll piss in the sink if it's nearer. Train toilets are disgusting. I wrote to complain. Well, I say I wrote to complain. I scrawled, this is disgusting. On the mirror, in shit. But the sentiment was there, and that's the important thing. I don't know if anyone else has got this, but my girlfriend tells me about her day in real time. Sex can get monotonous within a relationship. Same person, every month. I remember the first girl I ever held. You never forget your first hostage. I tell you what's embarrassing. Getting your cock stuck in the flies of another man's trousers. Could you move around a bit? Because I think you're encouraging the others. What's your name, madam? I better ask. Gemma. Hello, Gemma. Is there any chance you could just pop the Chinese love balls out for a minute? You seem to be teetering on the edge of orgasm at all times. I've seen it in films, I know. What do you do, Gemma? You're a cheerleading coach. The easiest job in the world. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a new name for cheerleading coach, though, isn't there? Don't we call it grooming now? So what, who do they cheerlead for? You have a squad called the what?
The Fury Jams.
The Fury Jams. Is that a term for menstruation? Sorry. There's a cheerleading squad called the Fury Jams. You're right, love. No, I've got the Fury Jams. And you teach people to cheerlead?
Yes, like stunting, like throwing people up in the air.
These are grown adults?
No, I've got children ages 10 to 16.
10 to 16? Okay, and you get them to...
Well, it's not just pom-poms and showing your bottom.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm no expert. I know there's a lot of showering. There's more showering than you would imagine. But has anyone else got any cheerleading DVDs? I'm something of a connoisseur. I have a collection. And mainly, they like to get sudsy. Let's move this along. But lovely to meet you with your hilarious laugh. It's infectious. I like it. Thanks very much for coming. Thanks, and thanks very much for cheerleading. Thank you for helping our young people go. It's valuable work you do. I've got a little tip for you. If you get stopped by the police in the car and they do the usual thing of getting you to wind down your window and say, "Excuse me, sir, do you know why we stopped you?" Don't say, "Oh, did you forget?" They fucking hate that. I'm actually a very good driver. Last year I got 25 points. My maths teacher always used to say, "Show you're working out." So in maths, I'd always wear a vest. My best friend at school was asthmatic. For a laugh, he used to hide his Ventolin inhaler. What a wheeze. I had a friend that used to self-harm because he was bullied. I used to think, whose side are you on? I tell you who I blame for all the drugs in schools. The supply teachers. Are there any goths in today? Have we got any goths? No goths in the audience. Oh, there's one goth there. Hello, goth. How are you? All right, I'm loving the goths. Don't get the wrong idea. It's just whenever I see a goth walking down the street, I don't see one person. I see two disappointed parents. Thinking he used to be such a lovely boy, and now he looks like a slutty girl. I'm not having a go at young people. Some young people do have genuine problems. Some young people have got terrible skin. I had a pizza delivered last week. I thought the guy's face was a special promotion. In fairness, it did look delicious. It was all cheesy and bubbly and whatnot. Hey, if you do have bad skin, look on the positive side. It's nature's own condom. School exams are a lot easier these days. Yeah, a lot easier than when I was at school. Apart from history, that's got harder. More things have happened. When I was at school, when I was 17, my mate Anthony, on his 17th birthday, brought in a 125cc motorbike. He thought he was the dog's bollocks. He came in. We all went, "It's really dangerous, man. Just be careful on that, yeah?" He went, "Yeah, dangerous, whatever. Think about how many birds I can pick up with this." I thought, well, unless you join a stunt team, one. There's a thin line between neighbourhood watch and becoming a vigilante, and it's a line you cross when you buy a cape. Do you know there's now a warning on superhero costumes? If you buy a superhero costume, it says on it, this costume does not give you special powers. Or indeed the right to see your children. Kids say the funniest things. Please don't hurt Mummy. She's already dead. Are there any mums in? By shouting out, who's a mum? Proper ones, not just ones that have done it to get a flat. I'm kidding, we all love mums. You know, mums are great. They're the great unsung heroes of our society. They do so much for so little. What do mums ever get? All they ever get is, you know, not even a thank you, just Mother's Day. Mother's Day's rubbish, isn't it? Like a Toblerone from the garage, or some flowers from a lamppost. What? I think it's all right to give your mum flowers you've taken from a lamppost where there's been an accident. Because if you think about it, you wouldn't do that if she'd brought you up a little bit better. It's her fault. Of course, one of the major supermarkets is trying to redress the balance, yeah? It's just Mother's Day for mums, but they've decided to have a Mum of the Year competition. Mum of the Year to sort of, you know, just reward ordinary, everyday mums. Acknowledge, you know, all the good work mums do. The only thing I would question about their charitable endeavour is the massive banners they put outside every one of their superstores saying, enter your mum today. I mean, fair enough, if she's up for that, she deserves something. Might I suggest a call from social services? Sugary tea was my mum's cure for everything. Her, like, elixir of life. If you had any kind of problem, emotional, physical, financial, it wouldn't matter. She would say, come in, I'll make you a nice sweet cup of tea. Which was fine until we found out my brother was diabetic. Being diabetic's a pain in the ass because it's sort of a mid-range illness, isn't it? It's not a cold, it's a bit more serious than that, but it's unlikely to kill you and it won't get you into the Paralympics. Mid-range. You've got to really search for the positives with the mid-range things. Of course, the positive thing about being diabetic is, of course, you can kill yourself with sweets. I'm going to end it all past the sherbet dib dabs. I think that might just cheer you up enough not to fucking bother. I've got a half-brother. Same mum and dad, but he's a hermaphrodite. I had a run-in with a transsexual. Not your classic, you know, I went to Amsterdam and I met someone in a bar and one thing led to another and we ended up back at the hotel and, you know, had a few drinks. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Well, I've paid now. Not like that. No, what happened was this transsexual, this person that used to be a man and is now a woman, came to help us out on a show. She was doing a little bit for us in a TV show and they'd done a brilliant job surgically. I mean, she looked like a woman. She looked brilliantly like a woman. But I think if you were born a man, there's certain things you will always maintain. There's certain masculine traits you will always have, even if whatever the surgeons do. And she came into the green room where we were all hanging out before the show, very demurely in high heels, and said, "Excuse me, where's the powder room?" I said, "You can't miss it. It's just down there on the right." She said, "Oh, thank you very much." Very demurely, tottered out on heels. Just as she was leaving the room, she picked up a paper, put it under her arm. Most blokey thing in the world. I've had a big lunch, I'm off for a massive shit. Well, what I'd like to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is help you. I'd like to become an agony aunt. And to that end, I went and looked in lots of magazines at the agony aunt column. They're all genuine letters, these, and I went through and I thought, well, could I do better agony aunt answers than their agony aunts? And I think in many of the cases, yes, I bloody can. So I'll take you through some examples, and then maybe you could share with me some of your problems, and I will do my best to sort them out. Of course I will. All you've got to be an agony aunt is considerate and caring, compassionate. My boyfriend loses his erection as soon as he goes anywhere near a condom. We have loads of foreplay and he gets really hard, but as soon as he tries to put one on, he loses it. What can we do? Karen in Cleethorpes. Now their response was, have a kiss and a cuddle, try again in 15 minutes. Good luck with that, she's not getting any better looking. I've gone for this as an answer. In situations such as these, it's very easy to put the onus of blame onto the male, and this can cause enormous trauma and place unnecessary strain on a relationship. Therefore, it's worth reminding you it's often the woman's fault. The penis is, if you will, a barometer of sexual attraction. And if you do not meet its high standards, it's likely you will go without the sex you so cravenly demand. Having said that, here are some tips. And if you do not meet its high standards, it's likely you will go without the sex you so cravenly demand. Having said that, here are some tips that might help. If your boyfriend wears glasses, perhaps suggest he takes them off for sex. Simple but effective. Instead of using condoms, why don't you go on the pill and have weekly AIDS tests? If you do get AIDS, Lemsip can help, or you could just walk it off. This next one's from Woman's Own magazine. I've been with a lovely man for 6 months. He's just confessed to me that he likes to dress up in women's clothes, and I'm horrified. I feel so let down that I don't know if I can cope. It's from Jackie in Dunstable. I've written back. Pot kettle black, Jackie. Do you dress as a woman? I bet you fucking do, you hypocrite. Regards, Jimmy. This one requires a little bit of maturity from everyone. My boyfriend isn't really into having me perform oral sex. He says he's just too sensitive and it doesn't feel as good as intercourse. I've asked my other guy friends and they tell me it's weird because all guys like to receive oral sex. Are they right? I'm starting to wonder what's going on. Well, I've written back. If you can't suck a cock, really, I don't know how to help you. Have you tried practicing nodding at people with your mouth open? P.S. Don't neglect the balls. This next one is surprisingly succinct when you consider the subject matter. One of my vaginal lips hangs lower than the other. Could surgery even them up? I've said yes, but a cheaper alternative is to live as a spinster. On that cheery note, do any of you have any problems you would like me to help you with? Anything at all. It can be as mundane as you like or as interesting. It hurts when you wee. Well, the good news is, sir, you have a sexually transmitted disease. The bad news is you've announced that in a crowded theatre. Any other problem? Oh, you've got a problem. Sorry, yeah.
Since I was been Ginger and Ginger Pubes.
Since you were little, you've been called Ginger and Ginger Pubes. Well, you are Ginger. What do you fucking want? I can see how that's happened. It'd be a terrible miscarriage of justice if you had dark black hair.
Have you got any advice to beat the bullies?
Have I got any advice to beat the bullies? Find someone weaker than you and sort of try and turn them against him. Yeah. You think I'm Ginger? Look at this cunt. No, I've got no... I mean, beating the bullies is... It's a tough thing. I think you should always... What do they say? Always stand up to bullies, yeah, because then it's funnier for everyone else. That's how the expression goes. Did your mum tell you that?
Not really, no. No advice, just let them do it.
No advice, she just lets them do it. Wow, she sounds great. Is she not Ginger as well? She's not your real mum. Is your father Ginger? Have they told you you're adopted? This is a hell of a way to find out, isn't it? Yeah, how'd you find out you were adopted? They tell you when you were sort of 6 or 7, when you processed that information? No, I was at one of Jimmy Carr's DVD gigs, and he told me. I'll give you a few more examples. Have a think of some more problems. Sure, share. It'd be good for you. All funny for me. One or the other. Can never remember which. Since splitting up with my long-term boyfriend a year ago, I've had a string of one-night stands. I always feel cheap and used in the morning, and I swear I'll never do it again, but I can't seem to stop. Well, I've written back. Quite an unusual opening to a letter. Give me an S, give me an L, give me a U, give me a T. Did our cheerleader just go, whoa? Give me an S, give me an L, give me a U, give me a T, and you went, whoa. Whoa, go, sluts! God bless her. Seriously though, thanks for your letter. I understand your problem and I empathise. Could you be more specific with your contact details? This is a letter to Spirit and Destiny magazine. It's a magazine aimed at people that like horoscopes but also believe in witchcraft and ghosts and all that kind of thing. Has anyone here ever seen a ghost? Yeah, you've seen a ghost. That's an extraordinary thing, because in the magazine there's a specialist term for people that have seen a ghost. Schizophrenic. Have you really seen a ghost?
Well, sort of. 11, me and my friends.
When you were 11?
Yeah.
Was there ectoplasm? And an uncle you'd rather forget? Yeah, that's right, you saw a ghost. That's right. Make the bad man stop. Make the bad man stop. Moving on. Anyway, this magazine, Spirit and Destiny, is fantastic. It's got an agony aunt column written by a white witch. Apparently they're the best ones. A little bit racist, if you ask me, but that's the way these people roll. The letters are fantastic. I have a chronic neck problem, but several doctors and specialists can't find any physical cause. Is it possible that I brought this painful condition forward from a past life? And how can I safely gain access to past lives to find out? I've said yes, it's highly likely you were hanged in the 1500s for being an idiot. I've got a question for people that believe in past lives. Would you like to buy some magic beans? This one was written to Sugar magazine, which is a magazine aimed at 14-year-old girls. I'm a girl of 14. Told you. And I'm deeply in love with my cousin. Ooh. You have our interest. We are really close, such as having sex, going out to movies, etc. That's a hell of a fucking sentence. One day, while having sex, his sister saw us and she is torturing us and saying she will tell both our parents and we're 100% sure our parents will not approve. Please help. I've written back. I say, go for it. Cousins fucking, why not? Your freakish offspring are the closest we'll ever get to real superheroes. Think about it. If people like that don't have sex, one day we may run out of Channel 5 documentaries. This is quite sad. I was sexually abused as a child, and I'm worried that my personality and history will lead me to abuse others. Have you thought about a career in the Catholic Church? Any Catholics in? Stop touching kids? I was raised Catholic. The thing that used to annoy me about church when I was little was all the standing up and sitting down and kneeling. I wish the priest could just pick a position and fuck me. Any other problems? Who else has got a problem they'd like to share? You can't stop wanking. Do you mean you do it a lot or you can't ejaculate? Because that's how I know I've finished. If a special white wee-wee comes out the end, I immediately turn off whatever I was watching, catch a glimpse of the reflection in the TV and think, oh, grow up. So you masturbate a lot, do you? Right. Well, how many times a day are we talking? 4 times a day. Have you considered just giving into it and becoming a sex offender? Clearly that's the road nature is pushing you down. So you masturbate 4 times a day. Sorry, are you in a relationship? Is that your girlfriend? You're gay. But I've always just thought if you're a gay man, it's sort of easier if you just want sex to pick someone up.
Yeah, sure, but you can't always be asked.
You can't. You can't always be asked. Well, you could go on top sometimes, couldn't you? I think that's fine. You sound particularly healthy. Well done. How old are you? Do you mind me asking? 20. Okay, no, 20 is pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think when I was your age, I think I was knocking a few out a day. I think we all were. So we've got a little focus group of young men there. Let's just find an average here. You're young fellas in your prime. How many are you rubbing out a day? What? I'm only asking. You're not prepared to say? 5? Oh. I don't know if there's any other men in their 30s thinking, oh, for fuck's sake. There I am, thumbing in a softie with a beautiful woman. He's watching a little bit of Blue Peter and going, she's all right. Can't believe it, there's no fucking justice. Good on you.
I have a question.
Oh, go on. Why are what so ugly?
Willies!
Why are willies so ugly? Because you're a lesbian. That's why. A few more of these. I have a horrid stepbrother. He shouts at me and my dad all the time and I hate it. I want to run away from home. What should I do? Michelle, 14. I said, yeah, run away from home. But bear in mind, the thing about your stepbrother is, he's not going to be quite as annoying as a Serbian pimp. I have terrible period pains every 6 weeks. I suffer appalling mood swings, and for the first couple of days I can hardly move with the pain. What do you recommend? They said, hot water bottle, bed rest and chocolate. I've gone for the rather more old school. Have you considered building a shed in your garden where you can hide your shame? This is a great letter. I've fallen for my lodger. We get on incredibly well and have started sleeping together. I'd like to take the relationship to the next level, but I still need the rent. I've got as far as saying, well, you've gone from boarding house to brothel. Any other last problems? Anyone else got anything going on?
I'm going home.
You're going? Sorry, I can see you and I think it may have happened. I don't think there's any ing needed. But that's nothing to be ashamed of, is it, going bald? No, I mean, my audience are quite cool. But, you know, occasionally one of you guys gets in and... Do you know why men go bald? It's quite interesting. I read an article in New Scientist magazine. Apparently men go bald because of too much male hormone. So my advice to you is to stop swallowing. Yo, go on.
Yeah, your mum keeps calling me asking for sex.
My dead mum keeps on calling you. At least twice. Right, she's barking up the wrong tree with you, isn't she? No, you're up for it. Well, that's lovely to hear. Not deterred by finding out she's dead. He's gone, yeah, I'll still do it, yeah. It is fine. I mean, that would seem like a rude thing to shout out. Your mum's up for it, but I don't mind at all because I was warned that he was going to be here this evening. I knew you were going to be here because I was actually warned by your mum. No, seriously, she did. She warned me. She said. She said. She said, my boy's going to be at your show. He's a wrong and he'll probably shout something out. What a cunt. At least I think she was talking to me. I wasn't the only one there. And she had a mouthful. Go on, have another go. I do this for a living. I love it. Any other problems? We all fine? Well, the final couple of these. I met a man who's wonderful and we love each other very much. However, I recently found in his cupboard a homemade dildo made out of cardboard wrapped in cellophane. Do you think he's gay? I've said, but it looks bad, but on the bright side, he's recycling. Last one. For the past 2 years, I've suspected that my dad is having an affair with the next-door neighbour. Should I confront him about it? I said, no, don't confront him. First off, look for clues. Do the next-door neighbour's kids look like you? Have you been told not to fuck them? Is there a hole in the garden fence? Are you sure slugs leave a trail like that? Thanks very much. I saw a story in the local paper. It said an 83-year-old woman was marrying an 87-year-old man. I thought, oh, that's not going to last. I hate it when the news tries to trick you. You know when you're listening to a song in the car, it finishes, the news headlines come on, it's a headline that grabs your attention, something big and bad and important has happened. You think, well, I better turn... It's a headline that grabs your attention, something big and bad and important has happened. You think, well, I better turn this up and pay attention. 20 killed in suicide bomb attack in Basra. Well, that doesn't count. You should have had to say that first. I went to a pub quiz the other night, native cancer research. Found myself halfway through thinking, well, how much closer to a cure for cancer are we getting by doing a pub quiz? And then I thought, well, don't be cynical. Look at the best case scenario. What if they throw in the question, what's the cure for cancer? And someone flukes it. I've got a question for you. Child cruelty, what do you think? Good thing, bad thing? It's a bad thing, yeah. Well done, sir. I think it's universally acknowledged that child cruelty is a very bad thing, and yet there are adverts on our TVs every day saying don't smack children. Never an excuse to smack a child. That's just telling us the blatantly obvious, isn't it? I think they should have to take a little bit of the money they spend on those adverts telling us not to smack our children and spend a bit on an advert aimed specifically at children. Simply saying, behave. Let's face it, there's no smoke without fire. No one's putting out cigarettes on children that are just quietly colouring in the corner, are they? Those drink driving ads are horrific, aren't they? They're like 30-second horror films. My favourite. It was 2 or 3 years ago, and it panned down a hospital corridor to find this man sitting in a hospital bed being fed mushy food by a nurse. And the voiceover simply said, "This is a drunk driver." And you find yourself thinking, well, it'd be something of a liability behind the wheel sober. Has anyone here ever driven drunk? Has anyone? By show of hands, anyone? You have. Well, I admire your honesty. You know, I hope nothing bad happened when you did that. And let's face it, there were mitigating circumstances when you drove drunk. You were pissed. We've all done things we regret when we're pissed. Some of you may be with one of them this evening. I hope nothing bad happened when you drove drunk, you know. I think if they made an advert about the normal experience, it would just be a bloke waking up the next day with an extra 20 quid in his wallet, because he didn't have to pay for a cab. It would be shocking, but in a different way. I think the people that make the drink driving ads should be forced to make an advert aimed specifically at pedestrians. Simply saying, pedestrians, watch where you're going, some of us have had a drink. It costs £165,000 to raise a child to the age of 18 in the UK. That's why I've sponsored one in Africa. It's £1 a week. One in 4 African children has a gun. Think about that. The other 3 are fucked. I tell you what they need in sub-Saharan Africa. A little. It's fucking cheap little. Who can't afford that? Actually, the most callous thing I heard about famine in Africa was not from another comedian, you know, trying to make light of it, but it was from 2 ladies in their 50s in a doctor's surgery in North London. And one of them was looking at the headlines in the paper, and it was all about the famine, and she just put down the paper and said rhetorically, "This famine, it's terrible, isn't it?" And her friend, without skipping a beat, went, "Yeah, but they don't get our winters." I thought, fucking hell, that is harsh. And then I'm ashamed to say a small part of me went, it does always look nice. Of course, the big campaign the last couple of years was Stop Third World Debt. Yeah? What I can't understand is how they're getting into debt in the first place. There's no fucking shops. What idiot Saturday boy is giving a Kalahari Bushman interest-free credit on a stereo? I still can't understand how the third world hasn't consolidated their debts into one easy monthly payment. Surely that's the way forward. They should get in touch with the good people of Ocean Finance. Have you seen those commercials? They're incredible. They take 15 of the ugliest people you've ever seen, and they all say exactly the same thing down the lens, as if it's taking every ounce of their wit to get this simple sentence out. They all say, "They made it so easy. They made it so easy." And you're looking at it thinking, well, they kind of fucking had to. If they'd made it complicated, you wouldn't have understood. And if it had been difficult, it would have been a bit like work. And you don't like that, do you? That's how you got into this mess. My favourite thing about natural disasters, and I know it's wrong to have a list. Certainly getting it laminated was a mistake, but my favourite thing about natural disasters is the fact they call them acts of God, and then 2 days later they have a day of prayer. So they have a day of prayer for an act of God. What I want to know is, how does that prayer go? Dear Lord, what the fucking hell was that all about? Half the people that have ever smoked have now stopped, which sounds good, but when I say stop, a lot of them are dead. I just think there's nicer ways of saying things, aren't there? Like saying, I've got a lot of nieces and nephews is a nice way to say my sister is a slut. She favours the flatter shoe is a nice way to say lesbian. Surprise sex is a lovely term for rape. Scared of the dark is a nice way to say horrible racist. I'm thinking of launching a fragrance is a nice way to say pull my finger. When I was at school, a girl called Alice wanked off a dog for 3 cigarettes. I know what you're thinking. How did a dog get cigarettes? I think British men have got a fairly terrible reputation in the bedroom. We're always saying the wrong thing. I remember once having a one-night stand with a girl, and after the sex she turned to me and jokingly said, "Who's going to sleep in the wet patch?" I said, "You're optimistic, I'm not staying." This is a good story about how bad British men are in the sack. I've got a friend. He went on holiday to Ibiza. He was about 25 at the time, and he picked up a girl, got her back to the villa. They made love underneath the moonlight on the veranda. Sounds fairly romantic, I think, as a setting. But he managed to fuck it up, don't worry about that. She turned to him, she said, "Talk dirty to me." Or, more accurately, talk dirty to me. He had a couple of seconds to think. "Okay, gentlemen, you've all got a couple of seconds, just go to the place in your head, the little Rolodex of dirt. Next to the wank bank, generally. You know, you've got something smarter you could get out pretty quickly. You've all got something, right?" He had a few seconds to think. He came up with the following. "Have some of that, you fat slag." Some of that, you fat slag. Fucking hell. I imagine pretty quickly followed by, "Why are you crying?" In terms of romance, it's right up there with, "Well, it won't suck itself." I'm not saying that women aren't as bad. Women can be as bad. I once had sex with an Australian girl. She said mid-coitus, whilst fucking, she said, "Have you slimed yet?" You slimed yet? I thought it was all fucking Ghostbusters. I fantasize about having sex with a gymnast. Not just because they're really bendy and flexible and you could do loads of extraordinary positions, but also because I imagine they do a brilliant dismount. They end up by the side of the bed like that. And if they bend their knees even just a little bit, you can make them do it again. 80% of personal ads say good sense of humour required. And the reason 80% of personal ads say good sense of humour required is because everything else in the personal ad is a lie. You turn up on the blind date, she says, "I know I said I was petite and pretty, but you've got to laugh." You think, "Yeah, I notice it also says you enjoy long walks, which is handy because you can fuck right off." There's quite a lot of couples in. I can see lots of couples around the place. Have you all had the sexual history conversation? Not all of you, clearly. The sexual history conversation happens about 3, 4, 5 months into a relationship, and the woman says to the man, "I'd like to know about your sexual history." And the man thinks, "Oh no, you fucking wouldn't." But the woman doesn't just ask once, she keeps on asking until she gets a result. Yeah? I had this recently, I was cornered. I had to have the sexual history conversation. I had to list every woman I'd ever been with, from the girl I lost my virginity to, right the way up to her. And that is where I should have stopped. Are you all familiar with the Spider-Man? Yes? The sexual practice. Don't panic, I'll explain. The Spider-Man is a sexual practice whereby you're making love to a woman from behind. That's key to this operation. You're just about to arrive. You've got your happy face on. You look like a turtle shitting. You pull out, catch, Spider-Man! I realise many of you are looking at me thinking, well, why did he tell us that? That sounds horrible. It sounds very aggressive, not very romantic and loving, but the reason I'm telling you is because men are such bad communicators, especially at times of high emotion like a breakup. So, gentlemen, I don't think you ever need to have that awkward, it's not me, it's you conversation again. I think next time, when you think the relationship has run its course, simply Spider-Man. She will either think, that was brilliant, in which case she's a keeper, or this is over, isn't it? Well, I've been Jimmy Carr. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers. Good night. Thank you. I genuinely can't get over how nervous I am. It's my 4th DVD in the Bloomsbury Theatre. It's called In Concert. You're watching it. Good. Right. Let's go, shall we? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honour and a privilege to be here, I imagine. Yeah, well done me. I went out earlier to get a cup of coffee. Someone came up to me and said, are you Jimmy Carr or do you just look like Jimmy Carr? I said, both. You know when you go around to a friend's house for the first time and they say to you, did you find it okay? What are you meant to say? No, I'm still lost. A lot of people think I'm posh. Who here thinks I'm posh? Well, compared to you, yes. But I'm not as posh as people think. I actually went to one of the roughest colleges in Cambridge. Fame is weird. I'm at a very weird level of fame now where people come up to me and say hello to me in the street. Yeah, it's very flattering, it's lovely. But then they'll insult me when they're talking to me. They'll say things like, you're not as fat as you look on TV. What do you mean not as fat? Well, this is my favourite. They go, you're actually quite funny. Now they're saying, imagine my surprise, you're not totally fucking shit. So I'm flattered they've said hello, but then I'm angry they've insulted me. So I'm angry and flattered at the same time. Those are weird emotions to have at the same time. So I try and do the same thing back. I say, well, you're a super little cunt. I keep on getting mistaken for Alan Carr. So what I've done is I've stopped sucking men off. That was my hand symbol for no more cock. I don't quite know what that round of applause was for. Was that you thinking that's a very funny joke, or homosexuality is just about willpower? People often ask me, what were you like at school? So I tell them, I was a little black girl. There's about half of you laughing, half of you thinking, was he? You would never know. Wetting your bed is embarrassing as a child, but as an adult, wetting a child's bed is mortifying. It's almost impossible to explain that shit away. Well, it's early on in the evening. Let's try some easy jokes to start with, shall we? Good luck. I was in the south of France. I saw a brownie on a school trip. She was holding up a book. It said on the front, Rough Guide. I thought, yeah, she's not a looker. That's the easiest joke in the show. If you don't get that, you might as well fuck off now, mate. 3% of Britons never leave a tip, and they're known as the weirdos that live at the tip. I saw a headline, it said, Britain faces crisis. I thought, what, we're running out of faces? When someone recommends a book to me and they say, it's a page-turner, I always think, yeah, I know how books work. I bought a home pregnancy kit. Turns out my house is pregnant. We're thrilled, we're having a shed. I got interviewed last week by a very nice young lady. She said, what's your house like? I said, I've got a semi. Which would have been fine, but then I showed it to her. And of course, by then, it wasn't a semi. If you ask 10 randomly chosen women how often they wash their knickers, a surprising number answer, "How did you get in here? How did you get in here?" Treat them mean, keep them keen, that's what they say, isn't it? Treat them mean, keep them keen. But I think you've gone too far if you're using a Stanley knife. Of course, a lot of women stay with their men, even if their men hit them. A lot of women will stay with their husbands, even if their husbands beat them. I tell you what they need, a slap. Where's your self-esteem? Silly cow. She was tiny. Of course, the thing people never say about domestic violence, and it strikes me as being just so very obvious, but people never say this about domestic violence, is just how fucking stupid it is. I mean, you're hitting your wife. It's your wife. You might as well key your own fucking car. Think about it. You don't like her now, you're not going to like her anymore with 2 black eyes and a bit of a face on, are you? There are places in the country where that's just a joke. I did that joke in Preston. It was like marriage guidance. It got a round of applause. Well, I thought it was a round of applause. It was actually people hitting their wives. When I was a kid, I was scared of the dentist. He was a paedophile. I suppose that begs the question, how many fillings did he give me? I believe each and every child should be given a chance, and that's why, if they can guess the number I'm thinking of, I let them go. Is anyone in from around the country? You're from London? Where are you from? Where are you from, sir? You're from Doncaster, and you're down here just for the lights. You'll be back and telling people, oh, I was inside. It was like a cave, but it was like daytime at night. Couldn't make a head and a tail.
Candles.
Candles? Yes, they're like candles. Well done, you. It's lovely to have you. Knock off back.
New Zealand.
New Zealand? How's it going over there? Is it all right?
It's not bad.
You still having that problem with Saruman and his Orc army? Hello? Sorry, did you just go hello at the end? Where are you from, madam? Dartford? You sound like a man. Where are you from, madam? Dartford. Hello? Sorry, that's like a horrible racist joke from the 70s. Hello? Hello to you. What, sorry? You're from Sevenoaks, but you said hello. That wasn't you. Why are you talking then? I don't understand. Who said that? Not me. I'm from Sevenoaks. What do you do, madam?
I'm a student.
You're a student. What are you studying? Drama? Really? You know, I always say the same thing. Whenever I meet a drama student, an aspiring actress or an actor, I always say the same thing to any aspiring actor or an actress I meet. I always say, I'll have a coffee, please. I was in Newcastle recently. I was in the back of a cab in Newcastle, and the cab driver said to me, there's no red light district in Newcastle. Because that's how they talk. If you're in Newcastle for the weekend, it's most disconcerting, because you find yourself thinking, is everyone trying to start a sing-song and I just don't know the words? There's no red light district in Newcastle. I hadn't asked, incidentally. I hadn't got in the back of a cab in Newcastle and said, take me to the prostitutes, my good man. No, just apropos of nothing, this bloke went to me, there's no red light district in Newcastle. No, I didn't say anything. He's quite a big, tough, Geordie bloke. But I did think to myself, I'll tell you why, no need. Have you been to Newcastle? 2 Bacardi Breezers and the deal is done. It's the kind of town where if you've got money enough for chips, guess what? Great news, you're not going home on your own. There was a nice little smile there. Just as if to say, I'll tell you what I like, chips and cock. Good on you. You know in Big Brother, when they swear, they play in that bird song? I've got so used to that now when Spring Watch is on, I think the badgers are calling Bill Oddie a cunt. I had a friend come round to my house the other day, distressed and distraught. He was nearly in tears, a grown man. He said, I've got a lump on my testicle. I said, that'll be your other testicle. I got stopped earlier by one of those charity muggers. You know the ones in the high street with the clipboard and the optimism? He stopped me and said, if you give £5 a month, no children will get hurt. It's like a fucking protection racket, isn't it? Speaking of charity, though, the largest charitable contribution in human history was made last year. An American man gave away $32 billion. He was some kind of Wall Street financier. Gave away $32 billion to the third world. What an incredible, selfless, wonderful thing to do. But spare a thought for his children. How annoyed would you be? You've done what, Dad? Oh, for fuck's sake. So you're telling me the only way I'm going to get my inheritance now is if I move to Africa and get AIDS? Livid. Have a guess, ladies and gentlemen, how much I give every year to animal charities. Have a guess.
5p.
No?
20 grand. Hundreds of thousands.
Do you even know who I am? That's fucking optimistic.
Fuck all!
Fuck all is exactly right. I realise some other people said nothing, but nothing is not the same as fuck all. Giving nothing to an animal charity would be, I'm sorry, I forgot. Fuck all is much more, No. And I tell you why I give fuck all to animal charities. It's because there are charities out there for sick and dying children. I don't give anything to them either. But it's the principle of the thing. Those are the charities I don't give to first. You know why they raise all that cash to dig wells in Africa? So when they're finished, they can throw money in and wish for food. I know you think that's offensive, but it's not when you compare it to this. The Make-A-Wish Foundation. Are you all familiar with the fine work the Make-A-Wish Foundation do? Broadly speaking, they make dreams come true for the terminally ill. What could be more worthwhile? They're a great organisation. I thoroughly approve of what they do. My only problem with them is the name. I think they should be forced to change their name. From the Make-A-Wish Foundation to the No Make Another Wish, we can't do anything about that foundation. Speaking of which, did you all see that heartbreaking story in the Mirror newspaper last year? Yeah. They ran a campaign... Are you showing off to the other children? Are you pretending you can read? By heartbreaking story, do you mean the tits on page 3? What, sorry? So I'm fine for fruit and veg, thank you. I presume that's what he's talking about. Hey, hey, hey! Nice that you're here, though. It's a night off for someone, isn't it? Now, I talked about the Make-A-Wish people. Did you all see this upsetting story in the Mirror last year? It was about a 5-year-old boy that needed a new kidney, otherwise he was going to die. And the Mirror ran a 6-week campaign about this, yeah? I'll tell you the good thing before I tell you the funny thing. That 5-year-old boy is now 6. He got the kidney and he made it, thanks in no small part to the Mirror newspaper. Well done then, yeah? But talk about heartbreaking, talk about tugging the heartstrings. Last Christmas, they printed his Christmas list in the paper. And the kidney was on the list. 4th. 4th! There were things he wanted more. Number 3 was a Little Britain DVD. I don't want to sound tight-fisted, but I'd have got him that. There you go, mate, you piss yourself. I'll get someone to explain what kidneys do after the show. I was at a party, I was chatting to a guy, he said, what does your girlfriend do? I said, anything but anal. I'm joking. She loves it. I'm in a long-term relationship, but I'm not married. Is anyone else in that situation? Quite a few, but you're timid about saying, because like me, you'll know, if you're in a long-term relationship but not married, everyone, friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances, everyone feels they can stir it up a bit. As soon as anyone hears, they go, have you thought about? You two, have you thought about? Trying to start an argument between us. I think it's very rude. So whenever anyone says to me, have you thought about? Thought about? Thought about? I always go, what, putting a third finger in? I could give it a go. I'm not sure it's what the relationship is missing. Maybe try the shocker. 2 in the pink, 1 in the sting. That's how that works. Sorry, too much? 2 in the goo, 1 in the poo. There. Nicer for everyone. I don't know what conversation that prompted there. I imagine that was you, madam, turning to him thinking, glad it's not just you. I had a woman come up to me after a show in Tunbridge Wells. She said, I found that shocker thing very uncomfortable. Now, I knew what she meant. But I couldn't help myself. I said, lubricant. I tried some Viagra recently. Has anyone else tried it? You have? Well, I admire your honesty there, sir. I tried it because you can now get over-the-counter Viagra. I thought, that sounds powerful. Over the counter, you say? Like a fucking cosh. Did you read the instructions when you tried it, sir?
I didn't.
You didn't? I did. I take these kind of things seriously because it's a medication. Even though it's a fun medication, it's a medication nonetheless. I was reading on the instructions for Viagra, it says, keep away from children. I thought, what kind of a man do they think I am? That can't maintain an erection with a child. Well, in fact, the child has applauded that very loudly. See that? There's a child in a green t-shirt. You are a child, I'm saying, going, yes! Finally, someone that can get hard with me. You fucking maniac. How old are you, sir? Do you mind me asking?
I'm 14.
You're 14? Right, I can't talk to you any longer. It would be grooming. And are you here with your mum? Oh, Mummy's little bender. I like it. I like it. The man from the telly, talk to me. I'll be checking in with you in a bit. Well, that brings me very neatly onto the next bit of material. Who here's got kids? Kind of, was that? What, sorry? What, Jimmy? What? What? What was that? You chipped in with something.
Go on, Jimmy.
You said, go on, Jimmy. Oh, right, ironically slowing things down. You often do that, just stop people in the street and go, on with you, Dave. I just stopped and just tell you to continue. Now, I don't have kids, but I've got lots of friends that have got kids. They're 5 and 6 years of age. I'll go around to the house, I get introduced. They say, this is Jimmy, he's a comedian. It's a bit like a clown. I go, well, it fucking isn't. And they'll say, shh, don't swear in front of the kids. And then they'll say, would you like to hear a joke? And the little kid will go, yes. And I'm expected to perform. So I say, when I was a kid, I was scared of the dentist. You would not believe the upset. What the paedophile? Come here and I'll show you. So what I've done, I've got some jokes for kids. I've rewritten some classic children's jokes. You'll know the original. Shout out if you do. What do you get if you cross a sheep with a kangaroo? A woolly jumper. I've gone for a genetic aberration that's an insult to both God and man. Where does the policeman live? 999 Lettsby Avenue, exactly right. I've gone for nowhere. He's been replaced by an undertrained and poorly equipped community support officer. Not that I'm having a go at community support officers. They do valuable work. Without them, how would we know where the nearest cash point is? There's one here. What, a cash point? Thanks very much. Are you a community support officer? Hello. How are you? You're a community support officer? Hello. How are you? You all right? And where's your beat? East London? You're a community support officer in East London? You're having a fucking laugh. Don't go out there without a gun. Is it fun? Is it? I imagine it's quite a good job, is it? It's not bad. It's all right. Well done, you. There's some jokes about coppers coming up. Remember, they don't apply to you because you're not a real one. Why is it difficult to play cards in the jungle? No, it's deforestation. Cheetahs are actually endangered, so that is quite insensitive, sir. What do you call a donkey with 3 legs? Glue. Just be honest with yourselves. If you've got a donkey with 3 legs, you're going to take a picture on the camera phone and then melt that fucker down. What's brown and sticky? Anal. This next one's a little bit different. I think it's funny, which is obviously very important, but it's also educational. It teaches kids about the alphabet and also about social issues, which can be very difficult to discuss with the under 5s. Why did the H kill himself? Because the G had. Right, last one of these. What's yellow and dangerous?
Shark-infested custard.
Shark-infested custard or the discharge from my cock. I'm joking, it's probably fine. Just smells weird. I get reviewed quite a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Journalists come along to the show and they write a little piece. Sometimes I'll look at it and think, oh, it's very nice. And then you'll look at it again a few days later and think, well, you could take that in 2 different ways. I'm going to read some reviews, see if you think I'm being paranoid. The Times said of this show, he couldn't be funnier. The Guardian said, there's funny, then there's Jimmy Carr. Is that a good thing? Catch him before he gets massive. I was doing a gig up in Hull. It was the second day on the tour I was doing in Hull. And on the front of the theatre, they wrote, in massive letters, due to public demand, he's back for 1 night only. Doesn't that make it sound like the public got together and said, there's only so much of this bullshit we're going to stand for? Of course, we all say stupid things from time to time. I was chatting to a friend of mine, Peter. We're at a wedding. He was chatting about how much he wanted to have children. These are his exact words. He said, we'd love to have kids, but infertility runs in my family. If you don't get that, you should be sterilised. My uncle said, I can't be asked to get my prostate checked. That's an almost Zen-like stupidity. That's so stupid, it's almost brilliant. It's like those big matrix signs you get above the motorway. Do you know the ones, the big matrix signs that say, this sign is not in use? And you find yourself thinking, well, hang on, if that's true, how do I know that? Of course, I'm guilty of a fair amount of fuckwittery myself. I'm often putting my foot in it, getting it wrong. I was at the airport about 6 months ago, got talking to this guy that plays wheelchair rugby in the Paralympics. I'd just seen a documentary about it called Murderball, which is amazing, and I'd seen a bit of it on Sky Sports, so I knew something about it. We got chatting. Transpired in the conversation, I didn't know what the para in Paralympics stood for. Oh, I thought I knew, but I didn't. I imagine a few of you are in the same situation. All have a think about what the para in Paralympics stands for. Stands for is not the right term to use there, actually. Have you all got something in your heads? Any guesses? Spacker? It's definitely not Spacker. Any other guesses? Paraplegic, that was my first guess. It's not until you say Paraplegic Olympics out loud you realise it's not that, is it? Paraplegic Olympics, hang on, that would just be blow football. Any other thoughts? Paratroopers. Well, like they were all injured during service and they thought we might as well have a sports day. Come on. So, any other thoughts? Paralytic. Paralytic? Yeah, that's it. There's nothing the matter with them. They're just pissed. They've turned up to the sports day and gone, what? 1,500 metres? You're having a fucking laugh. I had a skinful last night. I'll never make it. I'll have a sit down. You can wheel me round. No. Although there is a legless gag in there somewhere, but we'll leave it. Any other thoughts? Paralysed. No, it's not paralysed either. Parallel is the right answer. Well done, you gold star. Big tick. Another couple of... Of course it's the Parallel Olympics when I say it. It's obvious, isn't it? Because it's parallel to the normal Olympics. Probably shouldn't say normal Olympics. It's a minefield, this. Which, ironically, is probably how some of them got there. But it's parallel to the Olympics, and it runs in the same sort of city that they're holding the Olympics in. It's a proper sporting event. Another couple of things while we're on the subject. If you're chatting to someone that plays wheelchair rugby in the Paralympics, and you've seen a bit of it, you're chatting about it, you're being positive about it, don't at any stage, even if you're joking, don't ever refer to it as being like the real robot wars. He laughed, but there was a definite tension. Also, final thing on this, never get confused between the Parallel Olympics, the Paralympics, and the Special Olympics. The Paralympics is a proper sporting event. The Special Olympics is the one where they're all winners. Although you try telling that to the bookies when your little fella comes in seventh. I can see some of you are shifting uncomfortably there. You're thinking, can we laugh at this sort of thing? Let me just reassure you, ladies and gentlemen, during that last bit, no one in a wheelchair has ever walked out. Now, I don't mind proper graffiti, you know, Gary has AIDS, your mum's a bender. Proper graffiti. But I don't like racism, and I don't like racist graffiti, and I've started to fight back. I saw a bit of graffiti last time I was in Felixstowe, written on a wall, someone had put, "Asylum seekers out." So above it I wrote, "Asylum seekers in," and below it I wrote, "Asylum seekers shake it all about." I thought, well, that's cheered up, no end. That gave me confidence. I went back to a rough pub near where I live in North London. Someone's written on the gents' wall, "White power." So across it I've written, "Sill it bang." I saw a disgraceful piece of graffiti last time I was in Stoke-on-Trent. Someone had written on a wall, "All coppers are cunts." I thought that apostrophe shouldn't be possessive. Not about you. I saw a brilliant sign on a police station wall. It said, "Wanted for sex attacks." I didn't know there were vacancies. I thought I should look into that. Flexible hours, you get to work outdoors, you get to meet new people. Speaking of violent sexual crime, and I was. The fella in Ipswich last year that was murdering all those prostitutes, I presume you all read about that in the papers as it was going on. Really grisly, morbid story, but you kind of can't look away. I think some of the reporting as that guy was murdering loads of prostitutes was very irresponsible. The News of the World led with the headline, "The killer is out of control." Now, to me, the headline, "The killer is out of control," implicitly suggests that there is an acceptable number of prostitutes to murder in any given calendar month. The problem with this fucking lunatic is the number he's killing is just not sustainable. At this rate, we will run out of prostitutes in the Ipswich area. And then where will we be? Newcastle. Shall we talk about everyone's favourite member of the royal family? Prince Harry. Come on, the little ginger one that dresses as a Nazi. That's the kind of behaviour we want from our inbred overlords. Now, Prince Harry was meant to go and fight in Iraq last year, but he couldn't go to Basra last July because he's ginger, he would melt. So he didn't go, and actually while the rest of his unit were fighting in Basra, he was found by a British journalist, tracked down to a strip club in Canada. And the journalist went up to him and said, "Are you Prince Charles's son?" He said, "No." It got me thinking, ladies and gentlemen, because he's just got back from Afghanistan. What kind of preparation was that playboy lifestyle for fighting in a war? I know what you're probably thinking. You probably think it'd be much clearer if someone had juxtaposed strip clubs and war in a poem. You're in luck. I've compared and contrasted strip clubs and war in a poem. It is simply entitled Strip Club War. Yeah, a little bit of culture for you, ladies and gentlemen. I will read it for you now. Strip club war. Young men getting slaughtered, bazookas everywhere, privates standing to attention, grabbing their helmets, weapons going off, sobbing men desperately clawing at gashes as bodily fluids dribble out, sweethearts back at home wondering if they'll ever see you again, the number of stiffs growing by the hour, freshly shaven twats shooting at anything with a beard and regretting they'd come, the next generation spilling out of choppers onto hot barren mounds. It's more expensive than you think it'll be when you go in, and the whole thing leaves a mess that'll take years to clean up. And of course Muslims don't like it. I blame Bush. I'd like to get to know you all as an audience, but it's difficult to get to know a lot of people in one go. There's only one of me, that's loads of you. What I've devised is a method. Moral dilemmas. These are questions to which there is no absolute wrong or right answer. Just your opinion tells me something about who you are as individuals and who you are as a group. So if everyone joins in, this works. So everyone say yes?
Yes!
Everyone say no?
No!
Everyone say I can think for myself? Okay. Right, let's do a warm-up first. This doesn't count towards your final score. Just a warm-up, just to get you into the spirit of things. But if everyone could answer straight away, that would be great. Is it acceptable to kill a whale in order to save 2 pandas?
Yes!
That's about a 90% yes, I would say, this evening. You've thought, yeah, fuck it. Someone go, no. No. All right. Don't worry, it's not going to happen. That's not the finale of the show. Although I wish I'd thought of that. That'd be fucking brilliant. The best response I've had to that recently, I said, is it acceptable to kill a whale in order to save 2 pandas? And someone went, let them fight it out between themselves. Now, for better for worse, this is a question I use to judge an audience, to judge individuals. If you could all answer, that would be great. Would you fuck your dad to save your mum? I don't know why you're looking so upset. It's easier for girls. He's ugly. Imagine that being a factor. Imagine thinking, yeah, I would fuck my dad, but he's not a looker. He's let himself go, maybe 5 years ago. What would you say? He's there? Oh, hi. So, do you mind me asking, is your mum here as well? Oh, brilliant. Well, we can actually do a proper test. Now, I've got snipers all the way around this building. And they're pointing a gun at your mother, yeah? We're going to kill her. Your mum's been taken hostage. She's going to be killed. We would like you to bum your dad.
Well,
It's difficult. Yeah, of course it's difficult. I'm not saying you wouldn't be thumbing in a softie. That's fine.
I say let her die.
You say, let her die. Sorry, hang on, we're not in Norfolk. What are you booing? You're booing a man saying, I wouldn't bum my dad. Just take a moment to think about that. All right, so you've made your decision.
Listen to Jimmy.
It's all right, Mum. It's all right, Mum. Is that your daughter there?
Yeah.
Same question to you. Oh, I love my job. At what point did you think as a family this would be a good show to go and see? Never mind that Lion King bullshit. Let's bring the kids out to see a proper show where we openly discuss incest. The best response I've had to that, someone went, not again. Sex education is extremely important. Telling young kids about the birds and the bees, absolutely key. 3 quick things to remember. Firstly, you should know the children you tell. Secondly, there is a level of detail that is considered too graphic. 12-year-olds don't need to know about rimming and such. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, you should only ever tell them. I've got a friend that told me her new boyfriend looked like one of the Proclaimers. I said, well, he can't. He either looks like both of them or neither of them. I like it when identical twins stand face to face, because when identical twins stand face to face, just for a moment you think, ooh, a vase. I've got a friend that told me she was scared of dwarves. I said, you're scared of dwarves? Are you also scared of normal